Stop making new crappy songs with older, better songs. Hi, I'm Anthony Fantano, the internet's busiest music nerd, and I couldn't help but notice that there has been a really ugly rash spreading throughout much of mainstream pop music, where you have a lot of big artists who are just like doing these interpolations. And interpolation in music refers to the act of taking an existing piece of music and recreating it note for note within a new piece of music. To be clear and specific, this is not the same thing as sampling per se, but to put it bluntly, when it's the end of the week and I'm looking at Apple Music and I'm looking at the new single and song releases and just kind of seeing what's out there and I'm sampling tracks, oftentimes I will put on a new song and I will instantly hear a melody, a lick, a riff, or a new vocal recreating and copying an old melody like from my youth or something. And it will often be attached to a much more mediocre song now, or just like some much shittier lyrics. Recent examples that come to mind are like that new David Guetta and BB Rexha track that basically lifts the vocal melody from that Eiffel 65 song. I'm blue, I'm in need of a god, I'm in need. There's also that new Troye Sivan song that lifts that little synth lick from the Bag Raiders cut where the, you know, it's hitting like boo boo doo 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 doo. Drake and 21 Savage did a little interpolation recently from Daft Punk. There's also Lil Uzi Vert with Backstreet Boys. Coi Leray lifting the vocal harmonies and melody from that Leslie Gore song. It's my party and I'll cry if I want to, cry if I want to. Gayle recently did a crappy revamp of the Crazy Town song Butterfly for the Barbie movie soundtrack. That song was already horrible to start with and was somehow made worse. An older but also still crappy example is the way that Flo Rida redid the chorus to that Dead or Alive track. You spin me right round, baby, right round. Can we stop? Can we stop? Can we stop? Can we stop? These are awful, terrible, just trash songs. And you're using the good parts of classic good songs we like to make them. If these new shitty songs didn't have the good parts of these older songs in them, they'd have no redeemable qualities whatsoever. The only good parts of these tracks are the pieces you took from those older songs. Which, I mean, I don't generally have an issue with borrowing ideas and sampling and so on and so forth. Lord knows we have celebrated a fair amount of music on my channels that do exactly that. But there's a right way to do it. There's a wrong way to do it. I don't think the best quality of the song when you're finished with it should be the part that you're borrowing. If the only part of your song that is worth remembering by the time it's finished and being released is the interpolation, stop right there. Don't release it. Don't put it out. This is just lazy. This is just a reflection of the creative bankruptcy of the current mainstream music industry. And I think it's a sign of a really ugly type of cynicism too, that we can't even drum up a new, good, compelling idea or anything, and instead we need to just copy note for note an idea from a past hit that we already know is successful to hand that over to a young music listening audience that might have not even heard it before in hopes that like, yeah, this'll hit twice if we show it to the right group of people who have no clue what the fuck it is, which I think in a way is a sign of disrespect toward these younger music listeners too, especially when there's clearly so little effort going into these interpolated new songs. I don't want this video to be all like hate and negativity and to, you know, make it seem like I'm completely against the idea of interpolations across the board, because I'm not. I think there are actually a lot of good examples of it being done. I can't possibly list all of them, but I can at least, you know, throw a few out there. Ghetto Superstar, where they, you know, lift the vocal melody from Islands in the Stream, but obviously pair it with some pretty decent, very catchy lyrics that were super anthemic. To hear that tune go from like, you know, a country duet ballad to a pop rap song, you know, a pop rap radio banger, mind you, is quite the switch up. There's Vampire Weekend with Souls of Mischief, with Step. I can even give it to Coi Leray on the song Players that obviously calls back to Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five's The Message. Spiritualized, Elvis, Ariana Grande, Rodgers and Hammerstein, also JPEG Mafia, Britney Spears. There's lots of examples. And while I don't think all these songs are done in the same exact way, I think that there, you know, are some common positive qualities to them that make them work as interpolated works. The context that they pulled those tracks from originally and the songs that they eventually put them into are just so far different than the originals, and took a lot of imagination and creativity to, kind of bring those melodies and those ideas from other songs to a new place and conceive of them working in a totally different vibe, a totally different musical space artistically. Like, a lot of thinking and a lot of effort needed to happen between taking those ideas from point A to point B. And to me, that's interesting. That's creative. Not just taking some club or electronic track from decades ago, production pretty much the same, and just throwing some different shitty lyrics over, and that's it. That's like trying to do a crappy reboot of a show nobody asked for. Coi Leray with Players does bring her own kind of lyrical and narrative angle to that track and stays very true to the original aesthetics and production of the song. And I think kind of bringing that back in a way was interesting for 2023. I can respect it. Again, I think there are cool and interesting and creative ways to reappropriate melodies and even lyrical ideas from other tracks into your own, as long as, of course, you're giving appropriate credit for the artist you're borrowing from. Oof. There's also that freaking what is it? That Lupe Fiasco song off Lasers that brings the Modest Mouse chorus in. That was rough. There are good and positive examples of interpolations throughout popular music. Look, I would love to hear more, but I would like to hear them done in such a way that feels like it's actually in reverence and respect of the work that's being borrowed from, not just a lazy, stupid copy and paste job with a worse song attached to it. And more often than not, that's kind of what I feel like we're getting. We deserve better. I think so, and you should think so too. And I think for now, I'm going to leave it there. Stop ruining old songs this way. Over here next to my head is another video that you could check out. Hit that up or the link to subscribe to the channel. Anthony Fantano, Interpolations Forever.